In this box is a Yolobox Pro. What's the Yolobox Pro? It's a small streaming studio with everything built in here that you need, that you can pick up, take your camera with you and go and stream stuff. You don't need to worry about power or whether you've got Ethernet cables or connectivity. I'm going to tell you all about it through this video. We're going to go through all of the awesome features and functions that this thing has, but before I get into it, I just want to ask you if you've got any questions or comments or anything you want to know about this thing while you're watching this video. Please do put them in the comment section below, because I'm going to use all of those to make a whole heap of other videos that go into detail on some of the topics we're going to cover today. Right, let's get this thing open and check out what's in the Yolobox Pro box. Here we go. We'll take the lid off first. I always love taking the lid off these boxes because they've got that really nice smooth Apple slide on it. In here we have got a screen protector. So this is the Yolobox Pro, which is substantially bigger and more feature-filled than the original Yolobox. So you can see how much bigger this thing is, and that it's got a lot more ports and stuff on it, but we'll go over that later on. There's a quick guide card, which is just this neat little bit of styrofoam, and a QR code. You can click on that and go and get all the latest up-to-date information. I guess there's not much point in putting a big printed manual in here when they're doing so many updates to this and it's changing all the time, so an online reference makes a lot more sense. Underneath that we do have a small user manual, and that's got some important information in there, like what's in the box, what all the ports are on the box, and different types of things that you can hook up and how and why. It's got some technical info in there and specifications, the QR code to the user group, and some important safety information. Just remember, don't let a 12-year-old eat the Yolobox, it won't be good for their health. Underneath that we have a couple of cables. There's a USB-C to USB-C cable in here, and a USB 3 to USB-C cable in here as well. They're both going to be very useful. Over here we've got an Allen key and a SIM tool. The SIM tool, I'll show you about that later, and the Allen key is for adjusting this neat little monitor mount, which has got a cold shoe interface, a 1/4 inch socket on the bottom. You can tighten that down, of course, and this thing can just go on top of a camera, move back and forth, and put your Yolobox on top of it to use it as a monitor on your camera. But for now I'm going to take all these other bits and pieces away and just have a look at the Yolobox itself, because that's really what we're here for. So on the top here we've got 3 HDMI in ports and a USB port. The USB port you can use for hooking up a webcam or something like that. The Ethernet port here is for hooking up fast Ethernet if you're working in a studio space or somewhere that you happen to be all the time. And we've got an HDMI out port which you can use to send to an external recorder or another monitor or something like that, or an ATEM mini. There's a USB Type-C data port here, as well as a headphone jack. We have mic and line level audio jack. If you're not sure what line level and mic level audio is, we'll also be doing a detailed audio video that shows you all about that as well. And finally another USB-C socket at the end. This one is dedicated to powering the device, so that's for USB-C power. We've got a 1/4 inch thread mount so that you can put this on top of a tripod stand or that monitor mount thing that we had a look at just before. There's an SD socket there, which is really useful because I happen to have an SD card here that I want to put into that socket, and you just click that into place. And there's a SIM card tray there as well. The SIM card tray is really useful because you can use this to hook directly to a cellular network, so you don't need to worry about having a Wi-Fi point or access or anything like that to data if you're, say, streaming a sports game somewhere and you don't want to go through the hassle of hooking up a whole pile of wireless stuff back to an unknown internet connection that might be flooded or too busy. You can just stream directly over cellular. And the last thing on the bottom here, of course, is the power button, and I'm going to show you how to power this up now. You just hold that button in for a couple of seconds and the splash screen starts coming up straight away. Now while that's powering on, I'm going to take a couple of these HDMI cables I've got here and start plugging them in. The first one I've got here will go into HDMI 1, the second one can go into HDMI 2, and this third one here can go into the HDMI out port, just like that. Really easy to set up, and now I've got two cameras coming in and an HDMI out. Now there are three ways that this thing can connect to the network and stream. First of all is using the Ethernet. That's going to be your fastest. If you've got fast Wi-Fi, then you can use that as well and hook that up to a Wi-Fi point. And if you're out and about, you might want to use the cellular data. To set up a Wi-Fi connection, you just click on settings and then Wi-Fi, and then you can add a network. I've already got a network hooked up here that I've saved and I'm hooked up to, and there's this one here that it's detected that I could hook onto as well. You can also turn the Wi-Fi on or off here. If you turn it off, you'll save a little bit of battery power, but I don't see much point in doing that. Also under network settings here, you can see that you can hook it up to a mobile network by putting a SIM card into the tray, and you can also set this up to do hotspot and tethering. That means if you've got other devices with you that you want to hook up to the internet as well, you can turn this into a hotspot and they can connect to this wirelessly just as a Wi-Fi point, and you might have Ethernet onto here or something like that, and you can share that connection with your other devices securely and safely. But right now I'm just going to click back and back to get out of here because it's set up how I want it. By the way, I should point out that when you are streaming, by default it will prefer Ethernet if it's available, then Wi-Fi if it's available, and then it will go for cellular if that's available. When you are hooked up to a network, you can come into settings again and click on network test and see what sort of speed you got. In here it's going to go to speedtest.net. If you hit go on that, it will check your upstream and downstream speeds. It takes a little while to do that, so I won't bother right now, but I know if using that I've got 10 megabit down into the device and 300 or something megabits upstream from the device. Now let's have a quick look at setting up different connections to various streaming services that you might want to publish to. The first one on the list is Facebook, so I'll just click there. You can click add an account, and then it gives you a bit of a publicity warning and a privacy statement, so you can start binding that, and this will ask you for your Facebook logon. I've already done this, so that's fine. I don't need to do it again, but that's all you need to do. Just log on to your Facebook account and it gives you Yolobox permissions to write to it. It also gives YOLO Live's multi-streaming service permissions to send to your Facebook account as well. The next one on here is the YouTube icon. Click on that. I've got two accounts added in there already. I'm just going to add another one, which takes you to your Chrome logon. You can accept that. From here you can do your normal Google login, at which point you can choose one of your connected channels that you want to stream to. I'm going to choose my Mars the Cat channel here, so that now I'll be able to stream to Mars's YouTube channel anytime I want to, and just capture stuff live and have it published there straight away. There is of course all of the usual allowance and privacy stuff that you need to go through. If for any reason you decide you don't want one of these services with YOLO Live connecting to your social media accounts, you've got a problem with it or something, or you hear something you don't like, that's perfectly fine. You can just go into your Facebook settings or your YouTube settings and remove this authorization at any time. Personally, I don't have any problems with any of these things connecting to my accounts. They're a good trusted service in my opinion. So as you can see now, I've got Mars the Cat here as another YouTube feed. I'll just go back and we can have a look. There is also my Twitch account that I've got plugged in here. It's the same sort of thing. And of course you can set up custom RTMPs as well. I'm not going to set one of those up just now. I'll be doing that in a more detailed video later. If I went and did everything like that in this one, it'll be an hour long and we don't want to sit through that. Now what I'm going to do is click this plus button down the bottom here, which is what I can use to create a new live stream. It's going to set the live stream up. I'm just going to call it test for now, and I'll click done. I'm not going to worry about the other information in here. You can schedule them for later and put a description in here if you want. So I'm just going to click create, and that there creates a new test live stream for me, which hasn't gone live yet. It's just setting up the project basically. I'll click on that and it'll show you that I've got a couple of cameras there. Okay, there's me. Hi, how's it going? And there's a picture of something I'm going to mess around with later. So let's open up this new stream and we're going to go through and look at a few things. Now here I can select which services I want to stream to. And because I'm using the YOLO Live multi-streaming platform, I can choose to stream to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to stream to that as unlisted for now because I don't want it to go live. I can also stream it to my Facebook page. I can send it to my timeline or to a page that I manage or a group that I manage, and I can make it public, friends only, or only for me at the moment. Once again, this is just a test thing, so I'm just going to make it coming to me only for now. Now let's have a look at the different video sources available to you, because there are quite a few different things you can do with the Yolobox Pro. The first ones to look at, of course, are going to be the HDMI feeds, and those correspond to these two images here. So by plugging a camera in, it automatically pops up on here and becomes available for you to switch between. The next thing you can do is a USB video source, and to my surprise, because I've got all this fabulous camera gear around me, I don't actually have a USB webcam anymore. I seem to have given them all away. I might have to go and get another one later on so I can demonstrate this, but if you did have one, you can just plug the USB webcam into the topper here and that would come up as another camera source. But don't worry, we've still got plenty of options here. If you click on add video source here, you can click on the SD card video 1 and choose a video file that's sitting on your SD card. Here's a stream that I did a while ago, and I can use that one there and set that up as another video source. I click done, and here you go, we've got SD card video 1. I'll just go grab another one of those as well, or 3 more, and I'll just click on that one, which is a saved stream from before. So as you can see, you can run 2 video sources off your SD card and feed them. It kind of works like a hyperdeck, but just really compact and all built into the one box. You don't need a huge amount of equipment, just an SD card. The next video source that you can use is a PDF file. I grabbed the tech specs page off the Yolobox site and exported that as a PDF yesterday so that I can use that. If we have a look at the PDF file, you can actually page through the PDF as well. It's a great thing, and you can do all sorts of neat stuff with this. The final video source we've got here is you can actually choose another live stream. So if you have multiple Yoloboxes currently running on the same YOLO Live account, you can use the live stream from one of these boxes to feed as a video source to the other box. I'm not going to do that here right now. Once again, keep an eye out for the detailed video where we will set this up and experiment with it and have a look at some really neat tricks you can use it for. But for now, I'll just click done and head away from that one. As well as these direct video sources, you can set up some multi-image video sources as well. I'll show you how those work. The first one we've got is picture in picture. So what I can do is grab that one. First one you want to choose is your background video. So I'll just pick this here and click next. Then I'll choose what I want to have in the picture in picture. I'll just grab this one here at the moment because it's the live camera that I've got running, and then you can see I've got the picture in picture object here that I can then move around the screen anywhere just by dragging it around. Great thing that a lot of the Yolobox stuff lets you do. I can scale that right down so that it's smaller or quite large, but for now I'm just going to scale that one down and pull it up there. Click done, and as you can see, that comes in as another video source down here. The other multi-view sources work in kind of the same way. The split view one lets you choose 2 images and create a split event. You can change the thickness of the border, you can change the separator position left and right, and you can rotate the separator as well. The last one down here is the side by side. This is where you might have 2 people and want a background image for a news broadcast or something like that, or a remote interview. You can select the first person and click next, then the second person, click next, and then if you want to, you can put a background image behind them. Here's a city skyline that I've got, put that in the background, and there you can see we've got a pretty neat effect going on there. Now, as well as the video sources that we've got set up, you can use some image overlays or some overlays. I'm going to show you how to do these 3 types of overlays now. When you click on the overlay button here, you can click on the plus button and create an overlay. We've got 2 types here, which is an image overlay and a lower thirds. The image overlay lets you pull in an image, so I can grab that one there for example and use that as a title. I click done, and that's how it comes up, and you can scale it up and down of course and move it around on the screen, and you can have a whole pile of titles like this and use them through your video. An example of using that one is I could switch to this video source and then decide to put the image title in there. It fades through and then fades away again when I turn it off. As you can see, simply by putting in a whole pile of PNGs, you've got some really good pre-prepared titles that you can put in as overlays. This is the kind of feature that used to be in like tens of thousands, $100,000 studios. Now you can get this in this nice little box, and it just works, and it's so clean. The other type of overlay that you can put in here, if I click plus and lower thirds, is it lets you generate some of these things, and we've got some really neat title guides and stuff in here. You can click on one of these. I'll just choose that one for now. I can just type, this is a cool title, and you can see it's previewed up on the left hand side here. I can drag that down, make it a lower thirds, or I can put it in the center and have it as a title. I can also scale it up a bit, and I can scale the bottom bit up and down as well. You can even get rid of the bottom bit altogether if you play around with it, and just put a space in there, put OK, and tell the subtitle to have no background color. There it goes away. Once I've got that where I want it, I can click done, and now I can just tap on that and it fades in and out as a cool title as well. The advantage in using the lower thirds for titles instead of a PNG is that you can come in here at any time and change the text in that title. So if you're doing, say, a sports or a news broadcast update or something like that, and you needed to create some of these on the fly, you can do that in this thing straight away. It's real easy and that quick. As you can see, you just need to hold your finger down and you can hit the edit, and then you can come in here and change the text real fast. And there's a third type of overlay you can do, which is really special and quite unique to the Yolobox, which is a scoreboard for sports events. So if you're doing a soccer match or a rugby match or something like that, you can use this thing to display the score and even timers. If you click on this thing down here, there's the scoreboard. You can tell it to display by turning it on, and you can customize all sorts of things in here. You can change the score for the two teams, so say you can have somebody doing this real time, so they can just might be working on overlays or titles or something. I can come in here and just increase the score for one or the other team. You've got a timing thing here if you want it, so you can set up a timer that counts down, say 40 minutes for each half, or it can count up if you want to. And then you can click on team info down here, and you can put the name of the game. You can set different fonts and colors and backgrounds as you might expect. You can change the two team names and all the other stuff. You can also scale this thing up and make it a bit more or less prominent, so I can make it bigger or smaller. Also, you can change the period from first half to second half, or round 1, round 2, that sort of thing if you want to as well. Like all of these other features, there are some really neat tricks you can do with these things once you get into the nitty gritty of the scoreboard and the overlays as well, but I won't be getting into those here. Once again, subscribe and make sure that you keep an eye out for the follow-up videos I'm going to be doing that are going to cover a lot more of the stuff. There's one more button down here I want to have a look at, which is the settings button. It's got a whole heap of different things in here that you might want to have a quick look at, and I'll start from the top and work my way down. The video source switching mode is you can change whether it's a single click or a double click to switch. So at the moment I just got to click once to switch. If you want to protect yourself from accidentally switching, you can change that so you now need to double click to switch between the video sources. There are a few different options in here for how you handle videos off the SD card. You can tell it to pause when you're switching away from it. That means if you're playing a video off the SD card and you switch to something else, then the video on the SD card will pause at that frame. That can actually be really useful if you want to queue some video up before you start on the SD card to start at a particular point. So before your live show, you might want to run it into, say, 2 minutes into a 10-minute video, and then when you switch to it, it will start again at that point. The second option here is when you switch to it to always go back to the beginning of the video, and the third option here is to continue playing when switching. Under SD card management here, we can see all of the files that have been saved to the SD card. Pretty straightforward. You can come into these and choose to delete them if they're saved videos that you don't need anymore. Program out is a neat little switch. It tells the Yolobox whether to broadcast the program out video, which is just this bit here, out of the HDMI out, or whether to just send the whole screen out. So I can show you that by switching here to camera 3, because I've got the Yolobox going into my ATEM Mini, and as you can see, it's everything there. If I now turn on program out, you can see it's just showing my gargoyle The video source transitions, you can choose how the transitions work. So at the moment I've just got a cut, which is default, so as you can see it just cuts directly between them like that. However, I can tell it to use a fade, in which case it will fade between them, or a translation, which does that, directional wipe, which does that. Yeah, there's a whole heap of different effects into here. I'm not going to go too wild on them at the moment. I'm just going to show you what's in here. This is another thing I'm going to be making a more in-depth video on, is how to use these transitions and the various feeds and come up with some really cool, neat ways of using this stuff to get some really unique effects. So subscribe and keep an eye out for those longer videos. The next item in the settings list is the streaming mode. We had a look at this one before, where you can choose whether to go to Yololive's multi-streaming service or to direct single platform. Direct single platform streaming means you can stream directly from the Yolobox with a lot less latency directly to either YouTube or Twitch. If you use the Yololive multi-streaming service, you can also stream to Facebook and to a custom RTMP service, or up to 3 of these services all at the same time. The video output mode here lets you choose whether you're going to send your video out through the HDMI out port, or whether you want to send video through the USB-C socket as a DisplayPort out port. And the final one down here is the encoding settings. Now there are 3 different encoding settings available now for the Yolobox. First is constant quality, then there's a constant bitrate and a variable bitrate option, and also a target bitrate that you want to stream at. So if you want a higher quality video output with less compression, you want to choose a higher bitrate. Usually 4000 kilobits per second is fine. But if you've got the capacity and you want to get a much cleaner image, then feel free to go ahead and you can output up to 8000 kilobits. I'm going to put more detail into another video later on about how to choose whether you want to use the constant quality, the constant bitrate, or the variable bitrate option, and what sort of things you should choose depending on the type of video that you're streaming and what sort of technology and network speed and stuff you've got around you, and how to get the best quality so you don't get bad drop frame rates and things like that. So now I want to bring our attention to this little bit up in the top corner here and show you some of the controls we've got in here. First of all is the little expandy box thing that I call it, which is just that one there, and you can use that to go full screen on your image so you can see what's happening. This is great when you're using this in a monitor mode. It's got all of the controls that you need down the bottom, so you can see your overlays and your switches and bits and pieces down here. And you can also just click that again to take it down to the small, and you've got the go live button here. Up in the top here you've also got the record button, so if you push that to start recording your stream, it will start recording straight away. It tells you how long you can record for on the SD card. You can also hit go live, and that will start your live stream and start broadcasting out. If you hit OK, it's going to show you the data rate that you've got running up the top. You can also see how long you've been running live for, number of drops you've had, and the frame rates and everything that you've got going. There's one other thing I wanted to show you in here as well, which is very cool. If you've got one of your videos here, and this is a new feature in one of the recent updates, you can click on this little icon in the corner here and tell it to turn keying on, and then choose a background image, and it will green screen the image you've got just like that. It's that easy. So if you're gaming for example, and you have a green screen behind you, which I don't at the moment, then you could just click that little button and put another image behind you. That other image could of course be used as a picture-in-picture thing, so that you could use the picture-in-picture and have yourself over your game in the background. There's all sorts of really neat stuff you can do with this. Once again, I'm going to go into more detail into that in another video where I can spend more time experimenting with it and show you some really neat tricks to get some really special effects by combining some of these features together that are on the Yolobox Pro, and they're always bringing out new stuff as well. The last thing to look at on here of course is the audio settings, and I just wanted to quickly show you that so that you could see what was available. If you click here, you can see the different audio controls. The first one is the monitoring volume. which is of course what comes out the headphone jack. If you have automatic selected, it's always going to go and switch with the video that's in the foreground, or you can fix it to go with one particular video or a local video, or if you've got them plugged in, a microphone. You've got several different options there with audio. Once again, keep an eye out for the detailed audio video that we're going to have coming up and show you how all of this sort of thing can work, and also how to get some audio off multiple devices and things working together as well. And so that's a quick summary of all the features and functions available on the Yolobox Pro at the moment. The guys at YOLO Live are always bringing out updates that put new stuff into here, so I'm going to be making 9 more videos that cover each of the functional areas in a lot more detail, and I'll update those as we go, as there's new stuff coming out as well. So keep an eye out, make sure you subscribe and get all that sort of stuff. You can subscribe to the channel of course by clicking down here, and this is a great video to watch, and this is also a great video to watch. YouTube picked them out just for you, by the way, because they know the kind of thing you like, and I'll see you in another video very soon. See you later.